Dad, can you come into the
Hi,
screen?
hello.
You have to really move your chair, you know.
It's cozy.
Sorry guys, my camera was taken yesterday, so we are working with this. So yeah, we're just gonna start. You do too want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Kellyanne Conway. I am Claudia's mom. She has 3 other siblings, a twin brother 5 minutes older than her, and 2 younger sisters.
About yourself.
Well, that's the most important thing. I am also president of KA Consulting LLC, a Fox News contributor, a former presidential campaign manager, and presidential counselor.
Amazing. And would you like to, let's do this after, you know? Let's do that after.
Okay, I'm George.
Okay.
Hi.
You're George, and let's, how would you like to describe yourself?
Troublemaker, professional troublemaker.
A freelance troublemaker.
Yes.
I'm Claudia. A lot of you know me since you're on my account.
Jeez.
I am
I learned all my
also a
skills
troublemaker.
from her.
Yes, I think that the three of us are just a merry band of troublemakers. Can you get in the frame? Can you stay in the frame? Here, I'll back up.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
All right.
Limited resources at the moment. Okay, so we are here in Chicago at the Democratic National Convention, and I have both my parents here with me, and I have a lot of questions for them and things that I would like to know from both of you. So I'm going to ask both of you. I'm going to ask George. I'll just call you by your first names. Not in a disrespectful way, but just for the viewers. George, last night was the first night of the DNC.
Yes,
I was with you for it. What were your takeaways from the first night of the DNC?
Well, I think... Okay. Anything else?
Go ahead.
This is like, she runs us, by the way. Okay, so I was impressed by the. I was sort of surprised at the crowd because I had been to other conventions before, and it was really, the crowd was just big, bigger than the last 3 conventions I've been to. Republican convention were the 2004, 2000, and 2016. I just was amazed at how many people they packed in there, and I was impressed by the enthusiasm of it, and particularly since they've had to redo the entire program in the last few weeks. I thought they put on a pretty good show, although it wasn't all that fun getting in and out of the arena. But that happens with. That happens with Super Bowls and other conventions too. So
I can agree. And so, Kellyanne, what were your key takeaways from the first night of the DNC?
A few things. I felt really badly for Joe Biden, and I would have thought he'd give a speech where he can have his a capper to a 52-year career in Washington. That's probably too long. The man didn't jump off from the ticket. He was pushed. Everyone knows that, regardless of what's being said now. And I felt they stripped him of his presidency and his dignity because of a 90-minute debate in the context of his 52-year career. And if you look back not so long ago, there were many articles being written about President Biden running for re-election, Claudia, on December 1st, 2022, and saying, if you do this, you shouldn't have Kamala Harris. You need a new running mate.
Speak a little louder.
You need a new running mate. She wasn't... she didn't really have a great first year, and there was a great Axios article yesterday I shared with you by Jim Vandehei and Mike Allen, 2 of the best in the business and the fairest and the longest standing reporters on this. And they made very clear that President Biden and his team are still smart and apparently are upset with the swiftness by which he was replaced by his hand-picked vice president. And they felt that he feels... And he alluded to this last night too, that the media was unfair to him. They were responsible and complicit in his withdrawal, and turned around and have given a hero's welcome to Vice President Harris. So, look, I think if I were Joe Biden, I might have tried to be a little bit more gracious and not try. But I feel like he also was trying to relitigate the debate with Trump, trying to get in points that he failed to get in on June 27th. And that's over. Hillary did the same thing. It looked like thought she was still the nominee running against Trump.
I can disagree. I think Hillary Clinton gave a fantastic speech last night.
Well, it was 20 minutes long.
I rewatched it yesterday. It was fantastic.
Yeah, it was 20 minutes long, and it was a lot about Donald Trump. But look, if you're Hillary, you're never going to get over 2016. But I'll say this, that I appreciate what you said last night to both of your parents.
I have a lot of questions.
Which is you said last night is very important. As an independent, you thought, and I think you should share with everyone.
I'll speak for myself.
That the 16 Joe, Joe must.
I'll speak for myself.
Wow, we really are on camera. This is not the way it goes down at home.
Okay. Okay. I was just gonna say, in this space, we're gonna all speak for ourselves because I think it's super important. I think that.
Okay, what did you think of the first night?
Yes, and I'm gonna answer that. I think George has a lot of thoughts that I agree with, and you have a lot of thoughts that I agree with. Whenever that goes dark, can you just press it?
Okay.
And what I took away from the convention last night, I thought that the crowd was fantastic. I saw a lot of young people in the crowd, a lot of like influencers, a lot of young Gen Z people in the crowd, which I thought was awesome because I think this is the biggest election I think for my generation, so obviously, but especially just in terms of like young people's involvement in general, like this is a massive, massive deal. And so the crowd at the DNC last night was absolutely impressive. But the beginning of Joe Biden's speech, I think, fell flat. And I think that a lot of Democrats and Republicans can agree on this, that it did fall a little flat. I think that his hero's welcome was sweet. And I think that, he does deserve that as he is our sitting president of the United States. But I think that in his speech was a little angry. I think his speech was a little angry, and I think that there might be like some residual feelings there. When he stopped talking about himself and when he stopped talking about his record, I think that when he pivoted to talking about Vice President Kamala Harris and how she's going to propel the country forward, I think that's when his speech kind of picked up a little bit, and that's when people were really getting excited. So my advice to the Harris campaign is that if they want to distance themselves from the current Biden policies and the Biden administration.
Biden-Harris policies. Biden-Harris administration.
Excuse me, yes. If they want to distance themselves from that and create further change, I think that it's important that when we have Joe Biden speaking on behalf of the Harris campaign or at the DNC, that it's one of joy, especially because the campaign right now is so joyful. I think that the Harris campaign is so joyful. So I have a bunch more questions for both of you. Mom, I'm going to start with you. There have been many reports about the stagnant state of Trump's campaign. Do you think his rhetoric attributes to that, and would you rather see him focus on policy rather than go off prompter for, hours every time he speaks? Or do you think that helps him in a way? Because I think, go ahead. You can.
No, please. You think what? We want to hear what you think. This is Claudia's first convention. She's 19 years old.
Yes.
Her first presidential race. She and her
This is
brother
my
will
first
vote for the
presidential
first time.
election.
I want everybody to understand your stakes here. And I think it's incredibly great that you're here. I went to my first convention when I was 21 in 1988. Frank Luntz and I shared a room because I couldn't afford my own and he offered one. But anyhow, and I've been to 10 Republican conventions. I've probably been to 4 or maybe 5 Democratic conventions, including here in Chicago in 1996 on behalf of CNN. I was a political analyst there. And
Back to my question. Okay.
And so it's important that you're so engaged.
Thank you.
What do I think?
Question.
I think that Donald Trump can win this election based on policy contrast with Kamala Harris. She can't run and hide that far away from the Biden-Harris record. She was the deciding vote in the Inflation Reduction Act. She has bragged about that. She said she was the last person in the room before Joe Biden ignored the advice of his generals and pulled out of Afghanistan impulsively and chaotically. And I think that there's really no point in having the first female vice president of this country if the women in Afghan are less free because of their decision. And she says she's against fracking. She's for higher taxes. There's a lot to that. But I also think that for President Trump, the policy contrasts are important. I think that he and his running mate have a little bit more mojo this week and the end of last week than we had seen before that, in that they're bracketing this convention and Kamala Harris revealing price gouging plans and price controls, etc., reminding everybody that wage growth was up and inflation was down, home interest rate, mortgage rates were down under Trump, and to get that economy back.
So I just want you to answer my question, though.
I did. It's about policy.
Do you think that, but
you don't get those policies without his personality. And you can't really separate the two. You don't get the trade deals. You don't get NATO paying more of its fair share. You don't get bullies like Putin and Kim Jong-un and Xi Jinping,
which include people he loves.
You don't get no new wars for the first time in many years. So I just want to ask about his campaign. So when we're looking at his campaign right now, this ties into my next question about the fact that Harris is up in the polls.
There was an Ipsos poll released yesterday, and many other nationwide polls, including polls within swing states over the past few weeks, that show that Harris is either tied within the margin of error, or leading in some of these states. So what do you think is attributing to that? I'll start with you, Deb.
Okay. I think the fact that she's a fresh face makes a big difference. I think there were a lot of, I think the polls and the research showed, I think Kellyanne would agree with it. I think a lot of pollsters agree with it. There were a lot of people who were, quote unquote, double haters. People who didn't like the choice. People who were sick of another rematch of the old guys. Oh, double hater.
Like me, correct.
That's right. And now they have something new and fresh. And
it seems strong.
Well, no, double dislikers. Okay, and there's something to one thing that the Democrats have always done better, and this is something I've not just thought about this year, is trotting out the new fresh face. I mean, when you think about the history of the Democratic Party in not your lifetime, but Kellyanne's and my lifetimes, is they try to, John Kennedy, Jimmy Carter. Nobody had ever heard of him a year before. Bill Clinton, he was really not that much on the national scene, except he gave a really crappy speech in 1988. And Barack Obama, who basically had no record to start with. And one of the things that happened with Barack Obama is that he went to talk to Ted Kennedy, as you recall, about should I run in...
or should I wait?
Or should I run or should I wait? And Kennedy gave some interesting advice.
Guys, okay, sorry, I'm just going to cut everybody off for a second. I just want answers, right?
Yeah, I'm answering the question.
Given a very good answer.
I'm actually giving an answer. I'm giving an answer, and we actually are agreeing something here. Kennedy told him, run now before you have a record. And so the big advantage that Kamala Harris actually has is that her record is relatively limited, not quite as sparse as
That's a great point.
Obama. And so basically people, when you have a new person, a new vessel, you can project onto them the things that you like, and you have hope, and they give hope. You can't do that with that's one of the problems that Hillary had in 2016, and it was one of the advantages that Donald Trump actually had in 2016. Is people, they didn't know he was the unknown quantity. He was different. He came in and out, and that was an advantage. He does not have that advantage.
That's
now.
a great point. That's a great point. So I want to.
So that was responsive to your question.
I want to pivot back to what I was talking about earlier, because we see the Harris campaign, and they're kind of. Harris and Tim Walz have both said that they're kind of on this campaign of joy right now. Like, they want to spread joy.
Where was it last night? AOC was screaming, Hillary was screaming, Joe Biden was angry. You said it yourself.
Well, that will tie into my other point.
You can't just say it. You have to show it and live it.
I have a question.
But no, can I answer the question about polls? At Kellyanne polls? Because Dad is right. I wrote about it in my book 2 years ago, that the thing about Hillary, and I said it to Donald Trump the day he asked me to be campaign manager in 2016, which that What's different is that they always had fresh faces, outsiders. Even Jimmy Carter, God bless him, almost 100 years old, but was 52 when he was elected.
And nobody knew
And
who
then
he was.
Hillary was very known. She was very defined. And I think Kamala is running on being not defined. That's
not true. I think she's trying to. I disagree with that. I think she's trying to define herself right now.
I mean, right now it's a
she
good
is
thing
trying
for
to define
her.
her. People define her, but I'm just saying people don't have a set view of her already.
Because she hasn't really been a big part of the, as you're pointing out, Biden-Harris administration. If she
had the most public appearances of any vice president in history.
I'm trying to help you here, but all I'm going to say about the polls is
I actually agree with both of them.
A lot of Democrats are coming back to the party now and to the nominee. They had left Biden. They're coming back. So she's picked up more African Americans, more young people, a lot of folks who were flirting with President Trump. Now, I want to talk to you about the CBS poll. CBS News came out with a poll this weekend. It was of the 6 or 7 swing states. Very smartly done poll. Looked at the methodology. Donald Trump is leading in Arizona, Georgia, and Nevada. They're tied. He and Harris are tied in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin.
We can't have an hour and a half long.
No, this is important.
I understand.
But he was getting 41% of Hispanics and 17% of African Americans.
I just want
She should be moderating the next debate.
I just want answers. Actually, I don't want to go off into veer into uncharted
Claudia,
territory.
we're not doing sound bites or like little tweets. I mean, Twitter. Social media is for people who just want little. You asking us for substantive answers? We're giving them.
I do want substantive answers, and I want those answers and those opinions to be substantiated.
All right,
so,
240 characters or less.
No, I'm okay.
All right.
Don't interrupt a woman when she's speaking. Thank you.
Even if she's
I'm gonna go back to my question about his rhetoric, because we look at Trump's campaign right now, and it's kind of flatlining for right now, as a lot of experts have said and a lot of reporters have said. Do you think that it is beneficial to Trump for him to be going off and saying Kamala Harris isn't black, or saying, that the Medal of Freedom is better than the Medal of Honor, and saying all of these other things, saying that he's better looking than Kamala Harris, and all these different things? And then we have J.D. Vance, who we pull clips from all the time. Do you think that rhetoric, right, when we look at him at the NABJ and the at Miriam Edelson's event last week?
We just talked about that, yeah.
I understand. Thank you. Do you think that in any way benefits him, where he's going on these tangents and going off prompter and he's insulting people?
So I'm always for more insights, fewer insults. I'm for policy contrast.
You agree that he shouldn't be?
Hold on. That's how he's going to win. And the underlying fundamentals of the Electoral College map still favor him. I think most disinterested observers would admit that. Thank you. Definitely not a disinterested observer, but it is true.
It is true.
But let me just say this. I think at the same time, he can't be the only one who's always attacked and can't attack back. Do I wish there were a lot less of it all the way around? Absolutely. But mainly because I've got 4 teenagers, and I want them to have faith in institutions, and I want them to believe in democracy, and I want them to participate, and I want them to make their choices. If you want to be in politics or journalism or public life, go for it. We support you and love you and we'll do anything we can to help you. But I want your generation to not feel so distanced from the major institutions that we all grew up with. And part of it is because of the rhetoric on both sides. I mean, you can't have people out there constantly attacking Donald Trump. I mean, some people do it all day, and not expect him to clap back. Do I think he's best when it's policy contrast? Absolutely.
So
and I actually think that...
how was he clapping back by saying that the Medal of Freedom was better than the Medal of Honor?
He was saying that to Miriam Adelson. Look, I have to also look at the fullness. I have to look at the measure of people in full. I can't go... Hold on. I can't go by one statement or one tweet or one text for anybody.
There are multiple statements every day.
For all of them. For all of them. If everybody's going to pretend that Kamala Harris doesn't think it's really the cloud, like literally in the sky, that has our data, or the passage of time is about time passing. I mean, we can do that all day long, but I'm most concerned about what's going to happen to the single moms, like the one who raised me, your beloved grandmother, who are really struggling right now in this economy, who are really upset that they see a lot of people here who just got here across the border getting cash and cell phones and clothing and hotel rooms when they're struggling to feed their kids.
That's a point that I made yesterday. I think that
it's important.
I think that a lot of Democrats right now, and independents and moderates like me, are looking to just beat Donald Trump, right? Put whoever's in office, let's just beat Donald Trump. And that was kind of the whole thing with Biden. It was kind of what we did with Biden in 2020 and what we were doing with Biden this election cycle until he stepped out. No matter what, just vote for Biden. And so now I think the tables have turned a little bit. So we're looking at Kamala Harris, and people see a true leader in her. I know you don't. You may. But people do see a true leader in Kamala Harris. And so my question is, for the both of you, we're at the Democratic National Convention, and you are both Republicans.
I'm not a Republican anymore. I registered as an independent in March of 2018. Because I thought that the Republican Party...
People think he's a Democrat.
But no, I'm not a registered Democrat.
Neither am I.
Nobody
here is a Democrat.
Can I finish my sentence? I registered as an unaffiliated voter in New Jersey in 2018, in March of 2018, because I thought the Republican Party no longer really stood for policies and had become a personality cult. And I think that's more true than ever now that it's...
So that was my question. Just please let me finish my questions, guys. Thank you. I said I have a pretty good idea of what Republican ideals are because you both raised me in a Republican household, a very conservative household. So I know that both of you still uphold those ideals every day, but do you think that the Republican Party right now is reflective of the ideals, of the Republican ideals that you hold in your day-to-day?
Yes, but I think everybody should look at the actual platform.
Okay, this is important.
It was adopted. It is the Republican platform. We have one. And we actually had a primary. There were 8 or 9 people running against Donald Trump for president. He won that primary. Joe Biden had no primary competition to speak of. They made RFK Jr. Kennedy leave the party. And I think that was a mistake because he's a bigger threat outside. However, I want to say this, that if you look at the Republican platform, I think it's much more modern, it's much more inclusive, and it's much thinner. It was always a bunch of...
I'm sorry, let me ask you this. Is appointing Supreme Court justices to overturn Roe v. Wade more modern and inclusive? Can you answer that for me? Because, sorry, last night at the DNC, we listened to 3 women talk about their battles with reproductive health care. And one of the women almost died because she didn't have access to an emergency abortion. Her fetus was not viable. And there was another young woman who was a victim of sexual assault at the age of 12 and became pregnant with a family member's child. So when we look at those things and we look at what Trump has said in his rhetoric surrounding Roe v. Wade and the overturn of Roe v. Wade, he's very proud of the Supreme Court justices that he appointed to overturn Roe v. Wade. He's very proud
he's left
of
it back to the states.
He's very proud of that.
And I agree with Dad on this.
But do you see the issue? I'm not finished, please. I am.
Okay.
I am not interrupting you. Let's not. Okay. When we look at, he's very proud of it. He says it's a beautiful thing, right? And would you say that is reflective of a more modern, more inclusive Republican Party? Because the way that I see it, I'll just throw in my opinion here for a second. I don't think that the Republican Party right now is reflective of true Republican values. I think that the party that used to be the party of law and order and the party of is now the party of chaos, and it's been the party
law
of chaos.
and order, honey. I mean, look outside. You wanted me to get security because you know how crazy the protesters are.
I said the Republican Party is
No,
the
you
party
said
of law
we're
and
supposed
order.
to be the party of law and order, but now
Yes.
it's chaos. We're not for defunding the police. It's Kamala Harris who gave the Minnesota bail fund. We're not for defunding the police. We're not for allowing Minnesota to burn
I
like
also
Tim Walz
did,
did.
but
you're talking. Wait a second. If we're going to be all over the map, please let me.
You're the one
let
who
me
just
speak.
brought it all over the map.
I agree with
asked you a
Dad
question.
about the 3 Supreme Court justices. He did say they were all qualified, including, if not especially, Amy Coney Barrett. The job of the United States Senate under the U.S. Constitution is when a president nominates someone to the federal bench, their job is to advise and consent, not search and destroy. And I'm the first person to say I don't like her jurisprudence at all, but Ketanji Brown Jackson is qualified to be in the United States Supreme Court.
We also have a lot of...
So, but hold on. Roe versus Wade was overturned. It goes back to the states, according to Justice Alito.
And do you think that's okay?
Hold on. I think we should have a minimum federal standard because I don't think that we should have everything we know about science and technology now. I don't think that we should have abortion anyone, anytime, anywhere. So here's why. I'm going to give a very soft, compassionate way. I think we need more concession, compassion, and consensus when it comes to abortion policy. I believe in all of the above. But
I want a straightforward answer, please.
Claudia, you're getting it. You just want people, the haters who sit on their asses online, who like Dad and you because this is what they do all day. Just stop. If you want me to answer the question, honey, we're here to answer the questions. But listen to me. I'm thinking of little Ileana. She was born prematurely in California. She weighed 12 ounces. That's the size of this Pepsi can. 12 ounces. She's home. She's fine. She's healthy. The scientific, technological, medical advances now are that babies that are being born prematurely can survive and thrive. And I think we have to have a conversation about that too.
So I'm not speaking about babies, though. I'm speaking about women. And I'm speaking about women's right. I'm speaking about your right, my right.
Are you pro-choice now, George? Because you're always pro-life. I think
I'm
they
not
all want you to
finished.
speak.
Hi,
all the
I'm
people
not finished talking. I'm not worried about...
Now, there are like 3-4 subjects
I
which
know.
I haven't gotten to speak about.
Hi,
where
I'm
I'd
not-
like to start
Daddy
with in
wants to
order.
speak.
But
I'm
I'll let you guys finish.
I was not finished.
Right.
This is about a woman's right to choose.
Right.
So...
Right, so that's protected.
Hold on.
The Dobbs decision says
hold
there's
on.
no constitutional right.
Hold on.
So you can have federal
A woman's right to
legislation.
choose is not protected in many states. 1 in 3 women, a little more than 1 in 3 women in the United States, don't have access to abortions. How do either of you justify that in today's day and age? You have 3 daughters, three daughters under the age of 20, and we're living in a time where a landmark decision by the Supreme Court is no longer. So I think I truly believe that that's an issue. I was just going to ask you about swing state issues. I believe that reproductive health care, reproductive rights are going to be the issue that takes Kamala Harris over 270. If Trump continues with this rhetoric and J.D. Vance continues about this whole, what...
I've noticed she's talked about it less since she became the nominee. It's very fascinating to me. And in 2020,
That's
the
not
Washington
true at
Post
all.
did and the Washington Post did a content analysis of the two conventions. And people should go back and look at that Washington Post article.
But listen,
how little the Democrats talked about it in 2020.
Women who are at home, who aren't watching the news 24/7, they're not analyzing how often she's talking about reproductive rights. They're looking at what she says she's going to do.
They are,
if
honey,
she
but
says
they're
she's
also
going to
looking at the
codify
economy and the border.
Okay, but we were talking about reproductive health care.
But all the polls show what's important.
We were talking about
to women.
reproductive health
Everything
care.
we women care about many
Absolutely,
things.
but you're doing this thing where you're skirting the question. So I asked you
Don't
about.
be rude to your mother.
I'm not. I'm just.
Dad wanted to answer.
I'm being a moderator for during this time. I'm not your daughter. I'm asking questions.
No, she is our daughter. She does this.
In terms of Roe v. Wade, do you want to answer the question I had before?
I did answer about, but I'm curious what Dad thinks.
Okay.
I know he
Well,
thought Roe versus Wade was wrongly decided.
I do think I've said that multiple times. Even after Roe versus Wade was overruled, I would not have overruled it because I don't believe. I believe in stare decisis. After 50 years, it was really one of the more. I don't think I would have voted to overrule Roe v. Wade. That said, and that doesn't mean. I mean, basically, pro-lifers think I'm pro-choice, and pro-choicers think I'm pro-life. I mean, my view is I would probably vote for a statute if I were a state legislator that would be tantamount to Roe v. Wade, maybe something a little bit tighter. I don't know. I would listen to the experts, and I would vote for some. I would vote for something that was probably some kind of a compromise because I think that's the only realistic solution to the problem. I think these current efforts to ban all abortions, including those, to make the abortion so restricted that people in serious medical dire circumstances can't find medical assistance because the doctor. Anyway, my view is pretty nuanced on that. I always did think that Roe v. Wade was wrongly decided because there was no constitutional warrant for it, and I think it decided the case in an extreme, one-shot fashion where they're deciding all questions for all time, even if they weren't presented by the case, which is the problem with the Supreme Court's immunity decision in the Trump case, and even. RBG agreed with my view on that with respect to that view of the Roe v. Wade decision. So my view is a bit nuanced, and I think there's enough in there to displease everyone. But to go back to the overall question of what the Republican Party stands for, what the Republican Party has always stood for, and I think it should stand for, it's clearly not. And it's clearly about something other than the things that I thought the Republican Party stood for. Law and order. Well, law and order, they've nominated a convicted criminal, a man who's convicted on 34 counts.
That's my next question.
Okay, but this was
we are at the DNC. Are you going to talk about the speakers here? Or
okay, but no, you asked the question about the Republican Party, and I'm now giving you the answer.
No, go ahead.
Okay, and if I can finish the answer, there are a number of points where I think that I part ways. One is that they've nominated a convicted criminal and an adjudicated rapist and somebody who has no respect for the rule of law. Another is foreign policy. I mean, Donald Trump does not. I mean, it's basically an anti-Reagan, anti-American foreign policy. He thinks that he wants to destroy U.S.
We're in war in Israel and Ukraine because Joe Biden's there.
No, that's not true.
Kamala
that's
Harris
bullshit.
Putin will not invade Ukraine, and he invaded while she was still in Air Force Two.
And Donald Trump basically says let's give Ukraine to Putin. Let's give Ukraine to Putin. Let's give Eastern Europe to Putin. That's what he said.
He wasn't there.
He basically said but he also.
Biden was.
Anyway, he is no coherent foreign policy person of either party traditionally would support Donald Trump as.
Well, many do.
No, they do not. They knew that. If you think Richard Grenell is. No,
they want to get back to no wars.
War, you can't.
George Putin invaded Ukraine under Biden, and he annexed Crimea under Obama. Biden, period. And he took Georgia from Clinton, and they took the nuclear arsenal away from them under George
Donald Trump is the most ignorant and worst.
There are some logical fallacies in these arguments. I'm going to cut this short, and we're getting.
Let's talk about young people.
We're getting a little aggressive.
We don't want to talk about the fact that Donald Trump is a convicted criminal.
Okay. We can
talk about all day.
We can have a mature mature and professional
The
conversation.
exclusion
Well, I
was
think it
anything
matters.
else.
I
Okay,
think that.
hi.
I think that
That's how
matters.
everybody knows you. Kellyanne Conway's husband who doesn't like Trump.
Okay, well, I don't
let's
like
talk
Trump
about
because
other things.
he's a criminal, and
You've
criminals
never said
shouldn't
that
be.
before. That's
They
so
should.
original. Honey,
It
let's
is
talk about
original
young
to have
people.
a criminal.
What do you think is on their minds?
He's
I'm
president.
very
Okay,
curious.
okay, both of you. Okay.
I'm curious
Okay,
what's on
see,
young
I'm
people's
trying
minds.
to run a professional.
I mean, is it okay to have a criminal
Hey,
for
this
president?
is my platform.
Okay.
You guys can fight on your platforms, but this is my platform. Two of them actually.
I'm not
So,
fighting at all.
I'm just
I have
gonna.
more than one thing to say.
We're gonna cut it off right there. Okay, so I have one more question about the Trump campaign for you, and I think this is a question that a lot of people have been speculating over. Many reports have been talking about those leading Trump's campaign, his campaign managers, and he just added Corey Lewandowski, pretty controversial, to his campaign.
Should help with women.
Hey, okay, all
You're
right,
always nice to Corey.
okay. So, do we need to take a break from this and come back?
No, but I'm consistent. So
No,
I
wasn't
like
finished.
what-
I
okay.
wasn't finished with my question.
Who's next to Corey?
Guys,
You're always nice to Corey.
I've never met him.
You're nice about him.
I'm just
No,
asking.
and I
I'm
think
just asking if
he's an
we.
asshole.
Crying in your
I'm just-
MAGA hat
okay.
on election night.
I'm just asking if we can keep this civil and not speak over each other. Thank you. Many reports were talking about those leading Trump's campaign, including new additions like Corey Lewandowski, which is fairly controversial. If Trump himself were to ask you to join back the campaign, would you? And
We
what
like
would?
Corey.
And if you were to join back Trump's campaign this election cycle, what would you do that maybe you did? How would it contrast what you did in 2016? And do you think what they're doing right now is working? Is it not working? Would you like them to see?
Just so we're clear, that's a long question with lots of component parts. So when I start speaking, you say,
Go ahead.
"Mom, you're too long," and then the people are going to say, "It's too long." A couple things. I like what President Trump said when
Twitter,
he announced.
for our X/Twitter viewers, we have a video format here on Instagram. Claudia Conway. I know people are coming from there. Okay, go ahead.
So a couple things. I appreciate very much what President Trump said when he announced Corey Lewandowski late last week. He said there are many people from our 2016 and 2020 campaigns who want to come back and help us this time. And he said, quote, "We'll take as many as we can." That is fundamentally different than what some of his staffers have said. These turf battles, the insularity, we can't have any other perspectives. President Trump has always seen wisdom in a multitude of counselors, so to speak. That's a Bible verse, but it's true. And he is someone who also believes in the yips. I'm not a golfer, as you know. I'd like to be, but it looks like a game, not a sport, so I haven't partaken yet. And in golf, there's something called the yips. And that means you're superstitious. You use the same wedge in this sand trap. You wear the same hat. You're very superstitious. So I know he's superstitious about having as many people around him as helped him win before. Okay. I remain very close to the former president. We talk frequently. Nobody knows when or why and about what. Sorry. No, the point is, and he's been very good to you and your siblings, but the point is that I think my best and highest use is probably on the outside. But I also believe that...
so you don't think you would join his campaign again?
Well, who needs a formal title? And
Claudia just made news. It's great.
Payment?
Congratulations.
Okay, I'm doing
I'm
trying to conduct a professional please. So you wouldn't join his campaign?
I may, but I'd have to work that out with Fox News because I promised them that I wouldn't work on a presidential campaign as long as I was an and I would definitely discuss it with my children. So I would definitely do that before I made a major decision first. And so, in any event, but I think that the underlying fundamentals are still Trump. Here's what I would say about 2016. 2016, there was a lot of joy on the job. We had a ton of people on TV as his surrogates at all times. We had members of Congress, senators, governors. We had different people. And I think that 2016, there was so much hunger, swagger, underdog, underestimated Donald Trump. That's back again.
Okay.
Because he is underdog and underestimated to some people now that Kamala's in. But now he's got the 4-year presidential record. People can look at it. They can say, hey, I want Donald Trump 2019 or I want Kamala Harris 2019. Okay, so, and then I think that I like the fact that this week alone, he and his running mate, J.D. Vance, are in all the swing states, talking about the economy, crime, border. That's the way to win. The other thing that you're doing is smart, Claudia. I'll give a little inside information here. In 2016, two smart things that were done that people didn't notice till after the fact. It had a lot to do with the fact that we didn't have enough money and enough staff. One was, if President Trump showed up somewhere, let's say he was in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, or Raleigh, North Carolina, before he took to the stage, in the back, he was doing a local print interview, a local radio interview, and a local TV interview. And those reporters tend to be younger, hungrier, and more objective. So they were excited to have access to any presidential candidate, including Donald Trump, because Hillary wasn't there. The second thing that we did was we ran a ton of digital ads. So it turned out we had bought more Facebook Google ads.
Where are the contrast? We have 8 minutes left.
Make sure they do that again.
We have a lot of young viewers on, and I'm trying to keep this
Yeah,
as concise.
well, they're going to like that. They're going to want
concise.
the digital ads. And I'm glad, President Trump said he will not be on TikTok. And he got on TikTok and was wildly popular there. President Biden, Vice President Harris said to ban TikTok.
Okay.
Now she's on it.
Okay, let's finish. Thank you so much. Dad, I have one last question for you, since you guys keep rambling. You've been outspoken about Trump for about 6 years. However, I vividly remember your excitement during election night when it was revealed that he was projected to be the winner of the 2016 election. Was there a specific moment... Okay, please don't touch my phone. Was there a specific moment that prompted you to change your views?
I don't think there was any one specific moment. I think there was just a series of events that led me to wonder whether or not he was fit for office. I was just wondering why he could never get anything right, why he was continually making mistakes. And I remember texting. Texting your mom about, like, why is this such a shit show? What is wrong with him? And I kept thinking about it over time, and at some point I just realized, that he was completely unfit for office. I mean, it wasn't
so it was more of a gradual.
It was more of a gradual culmination thing. I became very disillusioned very quickly, and the question was whether there was any redeeming value to him. And I came to the conclusion there was not. That's the short answer I can give it. I could really talk about that for 3 hours.
Since we've been talking about Trump a lot, I'll just keep the train going.
At the DNC. We're here at the DNC. But by the way, this is part of the problem. Trump was the most popular word spoken last night, 147 times.
This actually is very funny because
times,
I'm actually going...
Okay,
my question was...
Trump.
A lot of people are saying that this rhetoric from Trump, him bashing people and him insulting people and him attacking people, many personal attacks...
They all attack people. My God, he was attacked all night last night.
Because he's a criminal.
Correct.
That wasn't why he was attacked.
Okay.
Well, that's part of it.
You're obsessed over
it's not an opinion. He's a convicted criminal. There's a conviction that's going to be entered in New York. He's indicted on 50 other counts.
You've said many times the wheels are coming off the bus. The fastest way for him to go to jail in an orange jumpsuit is the documents case, which is all but gone.
The documents case not gone.
Okay.
Anyway, I'm all about policy, particularly for your generation.
Okay,
I not enraged.
Do you ever say he's an honest man?
And part of the...
Okay,
is he an honest man?
Okay.
Is he an honest man?
Yes,
Okay.
on many things.
Really?
Yeah, like I'm going to cut your taxes, and he did.
Is he a truth teller? You can trust his word?
You're obsessed and you're feeling a little weird. Please go over there.
It's
This
weird?
is why I divorced you. Go ahead, honey. Policy questions for your generation. 200 influencers tonight. Yes, and he was honest when he offered you the job of the civil division and you took it. George accepted a job with Donald Trump.
I'm sorry. Both of you.
No, you didn't.
You both have been very disrespectful.
Staff.
Hey, you're being disrespectful. I'm speaking to you, but I'm speaking to you.
Honey,
if you want to talk about
your platform to say what he says all day long.
I think that you're both being disrespectful because I'm speaking, and just because I am the 20-year-old here, it doesn't.
You're 19.
It doesn't mean that you're allowed to speak over me. Thank you. Exactly what I'm talking about, though. You just said that Trump, facts. Trump lies,
I just said
habitually. It's a habitual thing. So.
We're at the DNC. What is it you want to hear from the Obamas tonight? Tim Walz tomorrow. Kamala Harris. Tell us, because Dad is right about one thing. Kamala Harris represents a cipher. You can make her anything you want her to be. I think that's a short-term benefit for her and a long-term risk. I think being undefined or being opaquely defined is a short-term benefit for her. It's a longer-term risk because people do want substance. I trust the American people that they want substance and specifics.
Okay, we're gonna pivot now back to the DNC and some questions. Were there any speeches yesterday that you enjoyed as a very pro-Trump Republican who doesn't like Democrats?
Well, it's not that I don't like them. I don't understand them. That's a big difference. I don't understand that. I don't understand why they were all for Joe Biden, and then it took a 90-minute debate for everybody to admit what we've all seen all along. And Joe Biden begged for that debate. And to save his presidency,
I'm sorry. I just had a question for you. If you enjoyed any speeches, I asked a positive question. Correct.
Did I enjoy any speeches?
Correct.
I mean, I appreciate any time that we are talking about unity, patriotism, love of country and democracy. But as content and analysts said today, the most popular word spoken last night, day one of the DNC, was Trump, 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 Trump.
Okay,
Instead of giving us the vision
you're skirting
piece.
the question again, and I know people.
I am telling you.
I know when you're on Fox News, they don't correct you, but I'm going to. So,
Claudia, that's just rude.
it's not rude. No, I'm
Yes,
trying
it is, and
to.
everybody
I'm trying to
can see
facilitate a flowing, respectful
That's doing a million
conversation.
things except talk to you. I'm trying to participate here,
I'm
honey.
trying
And I
to get
very
her
much,
credentials ready
I'm
for
very
tonight.
concerned about your generation. I want them to feel engaged, not enraged. I want them to feel part of this. And
Well, I think that
that's why I came
the whole point
to
of this
support you.
convention is, a lot of it has been joy. Okay, I have another question for you, Dad. This is my
Yes.
last
But
political
speaking
question.
is harder than tweeting. That is definitely true.
Okay, I'm gonna ignore that. Are there anybody you're looking forward to speaking at the DNC? Did you enjoy any of the speeches yesterday?
Yeah, I did enjoy my
particularly?
speeches. I get a kick for some reason out of Jasmine Crockett.
I was just gonna say, and I was gonna talk about this, but yesterday I tripped because I was wearing heels and I had to take my shoes off going down the stairs. And when I got to the end of the stairs, I was going to put my shoes back on, and I was kind of falling a little bit. And there was Jasmine Crockett right there to pick me up and help me put my shoes on, and that was awesome. I thought she was the best speech of yesterday by far.
But doesn't it tell you something? If we had Hillary Clinton and Joe Biden,
just let us have something, please.
no,
I
that
thought-
says a
Can I
lot.
finish the
I
question?
think that
Can I
she's-
finish the answer?
okay.
Can I finish my answer? The other people, I'm looking
Can you
forward
get in the frame?
Obviously, I'm looking forward to Vice President's acceptance speech, because I think that's also always very important.
Agreed.
Hopefully, she will stick to the teleprompter and not ramble on for hours like somebody
Okay.
whose name I won't mention. But also,
She'll stick to the teleprompter.
I'm going,
right?
and
Who's the
I'm
most
looking
mature
forward-
out of
can I
the
finish?
three?
Can I?
Paul.
You are.
Paul.
Okay, so then I also I'm looking forward to hearing Adam Kinzinger, the former Republican congressman, who's explaining why he could no longer support a Republican nominee, and also Stephanie Grisham, who worked in the White House with Kellyanne, explaining why she thinks that Donald Trump's unfit for office. I'm looking forward to those.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Those are
Okay,
really
I have
They don't have social
one last
media.
question. Is it Brat Girl? Is it Brat Summer or Hot Girl Summer?
I don't know, but here's your button.
Okay, is it Brat Summer or Hot Girl Summer?
Hot Girl Summer was that song, right?
Yes.
Yeah, no, then it would be Claudia Summer. It's Claudia Summer.
Claudia
That's what I
Summer.
like.
And
It's
Claudia is
Summer.
Brat. Claudia is Brat.
Would
Here's-
you guys consider?
Second half.
Would you consider yourselves Brat? Would you consider yourself Brat?
I think I'm too old for that, probably, but I'm pretty cool. I'm very happy.
Would you consider
Living my
yourself
best life.
Brat?
I
Dad?
can be Brat. Yeah.
You can be Brat?
I can be
That was
Brat.
my
But I'm not as
nickname when I
Brat
was
as you
younger.
are.
Kiki and Brat become a family. But Claudia, I'd love to know what you want to hear. Like tonight, there's 200 influencers, there's 200 influencers who are around here, content creators like you. I have to tell everybody how much I respect the fact that you are using your platform for good to speak on behalf of democracy and things you believe in. You had tons of people crave.
Okay, I'm not here to talk about social
Millions
media
of-
though. I'm
no,
here to
we're
talk
on
about
social
politics.
media, so
I
appreciate that.
I'm gonna close this out. I want to thank both of my parents for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Hopefully, maybe we can do another one soon. I'm sorry if it got a little heated or disrespectful at times to the viewers. That was not my doing. That was their doing. Not taking accountability for that. But
We're bad. I'm sorry.
okay. I'm looking forward to night 2 of the DNC. I'll be going live at the DNC, and I will be interviewing other people later today and in the next 2 days.
you do
And
great, sweetheart.
Thank
Keep
you.
it up. Keep up the
Okay.
interviewing. It's wonderful.
and yeah, I hope you all enjoyed. I think we should continue this fight and continue these conversations. I think why I did this is, hey, please,
Okay.
guys, please.
Guys.
Why I did this with both of you, with super contrasting views, especially contrasting with me, is to facilitate conversations. I think, especially in this election cycle, things can get heated and misinformation can spread. And I think it's very important to facilitate these conversations, whether you agree with somebody or not. And I think that's what makes our democracy work, if we let it work. And I think that's, what this is all about. So
Absolutely.
I thank both of you for being here with me and for joining. I think everybody who joined, I hope you enjoyed.
Super
and
proud of you, Claudia. You were the star
if
here.
you
We're
have-
just a supporting cast.
Okay. Okay, you're as they say, you're glazing. You're glazing.
That's what your sister said.
I know.
She is Brad, isn't she?
Thank you guys so much. And I hopefully will be back with some more things for you guys during the DNC. Bye bye. Oh, and this will also be on my reels to be rewatched, and on Spaces on my X/Twitter. For you guys to listen to afterwards. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you all have a beautiful rest of your Tuesday.
Let me make sure I gave you the right thing.